All right, guys, we're here with Dan from Crest Cemetery. You've seen them before on My Favorite Home Hunt. You've probably seen their channel, YouTube, where they're Misfits. It is Theme Park Misfits, where you can see a lot more of their content. And they're also on some other socials, which we'll get into later and let you know where you can see more of their content. But today we get a special treat. We get to pick the brain of an amazing hunter, and we get to see the mind behind some of the insane stuff you see at Crest Cemetery. So if you're a fan, this is going to be a great look inside. Dan, how's things going so far?
It's doing awesome. Thanks for that amazing intro. You're too kind. Thank you so much.
All true words, man. I noticed that you have a love for theme parks, and hence the name Theme Parks Misfits. Give us more background on how your love of theme parks and Halloween, I guess, kind of tie together.
Yeah, so I thought, well, I want to come up with a clever name for a little channel. I love my Halloween. I love theme parks and roller coasters. Let's marry the two together. So that's how I came up with the fun little name on that. And literally it stems from just my love for amusement parks and the theme park industry. And then the haunt industry itself goes hand in hand. So many of these parks nowadays are doing these events, some big, some small, but some are just so incredible, very inspiring to see. It's a hybrid of stuff. So I love Halloween, love theme parks and roller coasters. Check me out.
Awesome. And it's got to be something magical. I think about being able to go through a maze and get scared by a zombie and then jump on a roller coaster in the next 15 minutes. That's got to be a pretty special, type of feeling there.
Yeah, it's a great night whenever you can make that happen. So it's something I look forward to every summer and every fall to try and squeeze in trips wherever we can just to get my fix on both ends.
Very cool. Very cool. What are some of your favorite parks that your travels have taken you to?
So off the top of my head, I could easily say my favorite theme park. It's located in a small town called Santa Claus in Indiana. So Santa Claus, Indiana is a little town that's completely Christmas themed, which sounds really weird, but they have this amazing little theme park, completely family owned. It's called Holiday World. Holiday World consists of these little lands, and they're themed by different holidays. There's Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, and of course, Halloween. This park is so cool. They got some amazing wooden roller coasters, an amazing water park, and it's just something about going to that place with it. It feels like just how it's family owned. Like all the workers are so friendly. The owners that operate the park are always out greeting people. It's such a special place that a lot of theme park nerds out there are aware of. They got some world-class rides, and like I said, the themed little areas, especially their Halloween little area, so cool going through there, and they do such a good job. And that's one of my favorite ones out there. Anyone's ever traveled through Indiana? Holiday World, put it on the list. It's really worth it.
I'm doing that right now because we're not far from Indiana, and that sounds really cool. It sounds like it's got kind of like almost a little magic to it.
Yeah, there is, for sure. They've been around a long time, and they're doing something really good out there. And I feel like it's one of those things, if you know, you know. It's definitely off the beaten path compared to other big name parks that people kind of gravitate to. But I'd highly recommend them, big time. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Very cool. I'm definitely putting that on the list to check out. It seems very cool. Another one I've got as far as parks, I've always wanted to go to Hershey Park. Their Hershey Park After Dark whole thing looks super cool. And I was like, hopefully I'll get that on the bucket list too, as far as theme parks to get to. Seems very fun. So
for sure.
But
Hershey Park, another great one. There's so many great theme parks up and down the East Coast, Midwest. There's so many great places to see. Hershey Park's one of them for sure.
Gotcha. I gotta tell you, I got a little FOMO looking at one of your videos, and I was just like, "Dad, looks so freaking cool." I saw you doing the, I believe that was Pigeon Forge, where you guys were doing the Smoky Mountain roller coaster.
Oh yes, so yeah, that's crazy. Very cool stuff. Especially doing those at night, you're just whipping through the forest in the complete darkness, no brakes. You get to control, your speed as you want as you're going down those things. And the only way to experience it is hold brakes off all the way to the end. And hopefully no one's slowed down in front of you or nothing like that. But very, very fun stuff. We have one of them up here too, actually in Buffalo at one of the ski resorts. So that's a nice little, yeah, it's like a half hour from me up here. There's one, it's in Ellicottville. We actually have a mountain coaster up here in Western New York.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was sitting there going, dude, that looks amazing. That's quite the experience,
Oh yeah.
And I've seen them before. I think I watched Carpetbagger go up there, and then seeing you, I completely forgot about it until I saw it on your video, and I was like, dude, that looks awesome. So,
quite a thrill.
So yeah, definitely a bucket list.
Yeah, and as long as you don't run into any bears in the Smokies, I always thought that would be insane. Imagine you're on a mountain roller coaster and there's just a black bear that you're going by. Like, oh man, that'd be terrifying.
New fear unlocked.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. That's frightening. As far as some of the theme parks you've been to, what are some of the ones that you've gone to for their Halloween themed events? Exactly, like where like for instance, Halloween weekends at Cedar Point or things. Or what are some of the ones you've been to for their Halloween events?
Sure, I've been to some of the Six Flags Fright Fests. Those are pretty well known across the country, and every park does it a little bit differently. So I've been to some different ones that have done them. The old Six Flags Ohio that used to be around back in the 2000s. They had a really awesome one. R.I.P. They're long gone.
Okay.
Darien Lake up here in Western New York that has one. I've been to some of the Cedar Fair parks, like Halloween Weekends at Cedar Point. Trying to go down the list of where I've been.
Kings Island?
Never been to Kings Island's haunt, but I've been to the park before. I apologize if you're going to hear this. My dog just snuck in the room and he's grabbing a toy right now. So if you hear any squeaking noise, I may have to try and shoo him out of here. I don't know why he's deciding to play right now, but
it's all good. It's all authenticity.
Yeah. But I would say like the pinnacle of the events I've been to that is my personal favorite. It's Universal Orlando. They do Halloween Horror Nights down there. They've done it for over 30 years. To me, that is like the king of all the events to go to because every year is completely different. So many different haunted houses, scare zones, different themes, different IPs and licenses that they dip into. Yeah. That's where it's at for me. And so I love it so much and geek out about it. My whole little computer office here is decked to Halloween Horror Nights. Collect the posters from over the years. So that's what's going on behind me right now.
Yeah, that's you know what? I don't blame you. That's awesome stuff. I got to tell you, I've only been once. I was able to go in 2022, and boy, we took our family. That was a mistake because boy, the cost. Let me tell you, the money that was spent was unreal. But it was quite an experience. And the ones that year that stood out to me, I don't know if you got a chance to go that year, but they had the weekend there that year, the weekend experience. That was really cool. They had this one called Winter's Bone or something like that. And it was this kind of frozen oceanic, type theme, dude. And it was beautiful. I was just like, oh my God. I was just jaw dropping the whole time on that one. I really enjoyed that one. The Halloween one was great for scares. The Halloween one was probably my favorite as far as scares go.
Yep.
And then the other one that really blew me away as far as just the scenery was they did that whole Frankenstein versus the Wolfman versus Dracula. Was that big what was the name of it? Legends Collide, I think it was called, or something.
That's it.
Yeah. So those were my standouts. I mean, there were some other cool ones, but those are my standouts where I was like, okay, these are at the top of the pile for what I've done. And then the weekend obviously was fun too as well. So, but
the Legends Collide House, the Universal Monsters classic stuff. They always kill it with those, and they're actually opening a new theme park this May called Epic Universe.
I saw that, and I saw did you see the animatronics they had for that?
Yep. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
yeah. Insane. And
I'm like, guys, are you watching this? We need to get our hands on this stuff.
Yeah, that's some high tech stuff for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh,
But yeah, that was a good year. Some of the originals you spoke of, like it was called Dead Man's Wake, Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake. Man,
yes.
gorgeous.
Yeah. Look, that was my favorite one of all. It was
Yeah,
just so well done. And I was just like blown away of how immersive it was. It was just so beautiful. I could have just stood there looking at stuff, you know what I mean? But I knew that line had to move. But man, I was geeking out hard on that one.
oh,
Yeah.
big time. I'm the same way. That's what keeps bringing me back to them, because every year the event's completely different. So you got something different to look forward to. But yeah, big fan of the Orlando parks down there. They do such a good job.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it was funny because I was meaning to ask you, just looking at a lot of your creations, I definitely saw hints of HHN inspiration in there. Am I correct on that, or am I reaching?
No, you're hitting the nail right on the head. A lot of my inspiration comes from being such a theme park fan. You got number one, Disney, so the Haunted Mansion attraction, all-time favorite ride of mine. Just something about the aesthetics of that, the story, the scenic, like how they built everything. It just like calls my name. It just draws me in. I'm like, I want to create something similar to this, or at least stuff that is very inspired by it. Like I built little crypts and tombs that could resemble things somewhat from the ride. Like there's a classic scene in the ride that has a casket where the hand is like lifting the top of the coffin open.
Yeah.
And I created a mini tomb to try and recreate that thing. It's not quite a coffin, but like my idea behind that is like that's my nod to Haunted Mansion that I have in the yard.
Awesome.
Just the whole aesthetic of the cemetery vibe that I do. Definitely, Horror Nights has done multiple graveyard cemetery haunts over the years, and just everything that they do, I'm like, oh my god, this is a dream come true walking through these things. The scenic in those houses are done so well. I'm like, how can I take what I've already learned in my time through local haunts and my experiences and build it on a smaller scale, but provide that just insane. Like, how the heck did you do that? Like, that looks legit. That looks like the real deal.
It definitely shows.
Thank you.
It definitely shows. Now, I was thinking about it. One of the things that stood out to me, and I love, I'm sure you're the same way. I love tombstones. I just love them. And every year, it's kind of funny. I don't know what it is, but Home Depot seems to really be getting good at this tombstone game. And
oh my gosh. Yes.
Every year, I'm like, I got to go get some of these damn tombstones. Every year, I find myself wanting to get more of them, just like, holy crap. And they're so reasonable.
The little angel to your right, that one that they came out with last year.
Yeah.
Oof, man, I was like, I loved it so much, but I didn't buy one. And then it was the week before Halloween. I noticed the sales, they dropped the sales on everything. It was like half price at this point. I'm like, oh my God, the one near me has like 22 in stock. I was like, I got to get two. I got to have a pair. So I was so excited to get them. Yeah, they're really insanely doing very well with their Tombstone games lately. I can't wait to see what comes out this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
The walls are going to be crying.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I did look at their leaks and stuff. I saw a few already that I'm like drooling over, like, yep, got to get that one. But one in your display that, man, I sit here and I see that thing in my dreams is the cherubim with the open wings.
Yes. So
freaking phenomenal.
A story about that one. So that's from Distortions Unlimited.
Okay.
It's a long since retired piece. And as I understand from a buddy of mine, Randy, he's like a haunt historian. If I ever have questions about props, animations, Randy is my go-to guy. So he's told me that they're right now, like it's such a rare piece. There's like maybe only 6 or 7 in existence in the States right now. That's how rare they are.
They would probably want to buy that back from you. I bet you.
Yeah, and I somehow I lucked out, and I'll have a brief story to tell about the one I have. I don't know if they just didn't make as many and people didn't buy them, but like, holy cow, it was the bucket list of a prop that I've ever had to try and find and acquire one. Yeah. And funny enough, the haunt I used to work for, we used to have one in our cemetery before the haunt was auctioned off, and then we rebuilt stuff. And I remember back when they did the auction, the thing went for $500, and I kicked myself for not being at that auction to try and scoop one up. And this was back in like 2008. So like I go deep on the history of wanting one of these things. So go back maybe 2-3 years ago now. I found in North Carolina, there was a store called Morris Costumes. They have like a shop, and they had one up on display in the store. And I've seen it on pictures, just never been there in person, seen it on Google. So I reach out to them, and called them up. I'm like, hey, so is that an angel you have up there? Is that for sale? And they're like, yeah, it's for sale. I'm like, really? I'm like, well, I've been on the hunt for one forever. What are you asking? You know, because if it's in ballpark, I will literally drive from Buffalo to your store to pick it up. And sure as heck, you know, we talked, we got to a number that was affordable for me and something happy for them. And I drove my butt down there, a day trip. I left at like 4 a.m, straight through, singing karaoke in the car all the way down by my lonesome. Loaded that sucker in the car and drove her back the same night. And I'm so happy I did, because it's
totally worth it.
It's totally worth it. So not only do I have like that fun memory of going to pick it up, but being able to say I'm one of the people that own one is just insane to me. Like,
dude, it's phenomenal. It's like I said, I see it in my dreams. Are you a Lebowski fan? You ever watch the movie The Big Lebowski?
I know The Big Lebowski, but I've never watched it.
Okay, it's definitely an acquired taste, but there's a scene in the movie, like it's a movie about nothing. It's just amazing. It's totally about nothing. But there's a scene where these guys break in and they steal this Persian rug, and everybody who walks in goes, "Oh man, that rug tied the room together." I'm gonna say, man, that tombstone ties the haunt together.
It sure does. And you know, it's funny. One of the ladies like that I was talking with that works in the store, she's like, "Yeah, it's been up there. It was like on this corner shelf up high above like all their costumes forever." She's like, "I'm really gonna miss seeing it there."
I was gonna say they probably loved having it.
Yeah, and I said, "Don't you worry, I'm gonna take great care of her. She's gonna live on in my yard display." And I was sending them photos of the setup, and they were so incredibly happy and thrilled to see it like live a new life and have a new place to be seen by everybody, because it's such an incredible piece.
Oh yeah. And you've made such a beautiful home for it. You know what I mean? It's like that could have gone to some places where it would not have been as celebrated as well it is in your yard. And it's a great home. But I was just sitting there thinking about it. I was like, if that's the tombstone to have, that's a tombstone. So, and every time I see one, you know, the funny thing is I'm starting to realize that's why I don't make any. I would love to make one. That's one project I'd love to do. But I'm sitting here going, dude, they take up such awkward space and you can't put them in a tote. You know, they're just there, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm starting to run into that issue now, especially with these Home Depot ones. One of the ones from Home Depot I fell in love with, you probably saw it, was the angel with the lady, the skeleton angel. There's like a 4-foot tombstone. And I know a lot of people, they were getting it and repainting it, but I was like, I like the fact that it's a different color from everything else I have. So I just left it as is. I was like, I'm not going to mess with it. If anything, maybe I'll just touch it up and detail some of the stuff to make it a little deeper and more. But other than that, I'm like, I'm going to keep it tan. You know, everything else I have is gray. So
yeah, I noticed that about my stuff too. I'm like, there's the color. I'm trying to do some offsetting things to make things stand out. I mean, you do lose a lot of it at night, of course, with your different lighting effects that you may use. But I got a couple pieces like that where I'm liking that it's not just gray. You know. All right. So
I'm throw a curveball. This is one I didn't have in here, but I got to pick your brain because I realized, you know, I definitely needed to ask you this. Talk lighting. What are some of the techniques you use for lighting, and what do you do that would be helpful for some of these other haunters? Because I think I've told people before, I think that's probably one of the most critical aspects is lighting. I saw a guy 1 year. His yard had nothing but Sunstar props. I don't know if you're familiar with Sunstar, but they're this real kind of cheap Chinese company that just does these awful props. I mean, they're awful, dude. They're really bad. But this guy lit his yard up so well that those props look phenomenal. And I was just like, I was like, that's the power of lighting. That's the power of lighting. This guy, he didn't have a prop in his yard that was over $99, not one. But he lit it up so well that it was just like, is that a Sunstar prop? No, that can't be. And he just killed it with his lighting. So what in your lighting, you do such a good job of really kind of just accenting and really bringing out the details of the props that you do have and all the walls and the fences and things of that nature. What are some of your secrets?
So literally it's not to be a surprise, but there's simply like those 40-watt LED, like square LED lights you could buy on Amazon, right?
Okay.
So, a lot of people use them, but in how I find the way to use them best is I am putting them in obviously the key placement of different locations for them, how different props will cast shadows through the yard. I also bring in real tree branches, dead trees to really sell my aesthetic. So like it depends on where that light is. It really, I play with it for like a couple nights actually. So like I'll have the yard set up ready to go. I'll just put a basic light out there just to illuminate. But when I really get into the nitty gritty, I'm finding very specific corners and angles to put these things, and also not having them be too overpowerfully bright. I used to do like crazy colors like the blues, the greens, and reds, which looked cool. But this past year, I feel like I really honed in my ability to make the light really feel like a glow of a moon. And I was completely ecstatic with how it turned out. So it was really dimming the lights down. I only went with blues and greens this time. Nothing off-putting. Nothing like to make it feel like it was a rave or nothing like that. Because it can easily happen when you put in the reds and different colors. But it's a mixture of those. It's a mixture of I have a buddy that turned me on to a company. They're called, I don't want to butcher the name, but I think it's Knabe Lights. It's Knabe. Knabe.
Okay.
And what they offer is like miniature gobo lights. If you're familiar with those. So they sell their little LED spotlights, right? And I don't know if they 3D printed these gobo covers, but it makes a miniature gobo light. And like gobos are mad expensive if you've ever looked into it. Like these are things like theme parks use that like professional like horror nights, that use in their parks and their scare zones where they cast that like kind of that shadow stuff, and his little lights like do the trick. And if I do recall, like an LED was under $30 and like the little gobo piece is 20, so it's very affordable. So I bought a bunch from him, so I was able to accent different areas that the LEDs didn't hit, where I could like kind of put a different kind of light on things. It's just a really cool effect that they give. I had to do my own wiring for them, so that was simple enough. Just your negatives, positives,
right?
Because I'm not too savvy when it comes to electric stuff. It's pretty basic for me. Like turn on the remote, dim it, brighten it, kind of thing. So making my own learning to do that is about as extensive as I got with electric stuff. But then I also use the lighting machine. So I got like a big not a strobe, but a big floodlight up in our front tree. Connected to the speaker that runs back by my giant mausoleum, and it just like illuminates the whole yard when that thunder hits.
That's awesome.
That's a lot of tweaking and fine tuning though, but it's simply just those LED lights really, and these little gobo lights that do the job for me.
Very cool. Now, are you using Perfect Storm as well?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I just got a hold of that last year, and it was funny story. Probably going to incriminate myself saying this on the airways, but it was kind of funny because I got one from Amazon. Actually, I got it through more sent it through Amazon. It was really weird. I think they've got some kind of partnership, but I got one. I hooked it up, and I'm sitting here going, dude, this thing doesn't work. I just sat there and fought with it, and I was really upset because I was super excited about getting it the year before. Yeah, it was in 2023. Into 2023, I got them, and I was like, man, I can't get this dang thing to work. And then I realized what was happening is I was trying to hook it up to a RGB LED, and it wasn't reading. And then I figured out later, and I literally called and said, "Hey, dude, this thing isn't working. I'm going to send it back." And Amazon was like, "We talked to the vendor. Don't worry about it. We're just going to send you another one." They sent me another one. And then I'm sitting here one day watching a video, and somebody's like, "Yeah, it's got to be a 500 watt work light, and it's got to be a halogen work light.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So of course I hooked that old one up, and I was like, oh, it's working just fine. So I ended up with two of them.
Double fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So last year was the first time I got to work, and I was just like, dude, I love this. This is super cool.
It is an awesome piece. Yeah, that's a recommendation for any home hunter out there that if you want to bring your, setup to the next level, get one of those. They're pretty affordable, and it just brings a whole awesome element to your setup.
No doubt. But yeah, I had to ask you about your lighting because it really has, and I think that's part of, I mean, you already have a very pro look, but I think that just brings more of it to it. There is surfacing happening, and I hearing you saying you're playing with the angles is definitely something I probably need to learn. There was this guy a while back. His name was Tim Frank, and unfortunately, I don't think he's running his business anymore. But he had this company called Haunt LEDs, and I think Ned's LEDs may have bought him out. I'm not sure if somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Tim was awesome guy, probably one of the coolest guys ever. But he reached out to me a long time ago, and he goes, "Hey man, you know about pin spots?" And I was like, "No, what's that?" So he sent me a few pretty cheap, and I love those things. Of course, I do the poor man's version. I know wiring is. He kept telling me you should wire them, but I took the poor man's route, and I got like a 9-volt and just hooked them up to the 9-volt. Okay. And the funny thing is, they last like. We're only running 3 days out of the year. So Those things I forgot and left them hooked up, a couple of them hooked up, and a month later they were still on.
Wow. Nice.
So I was like the 9-volt's fine for me.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's very convenient too, because then you're not running all the cords and whatnot. So yeah, if that works out, it works out. Yep. I get it. If you're in a pinch too, in a bind, you got to get a light somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. So I appreciate that. That's good stuff. And I think a lot of people can definitely take some good pointers from that. I think when I first started, the very first year I did, we have this video and it's hilarious. I literally, it was our first walkthrough, man. And I think I just had a few props set up in the backyard with some trail lights. And it was pretty funny. I look at it now and it was wild. But we were so excited, dude. We were so excited. And I remember we posted it on the channel and some guy goes, "Dude, I can't see anything."
Blinded by the light.
And I was like, oh my God. So that stuck with me. And I was like, we got to get this lighting thing down. And every little year we're trying to work on it. And I think as the evolution came, I was getting a lot of the floodlights. And, for a while, it took me a while to just kind of understand what the function of a floodlight is. It's called a floodlight for a reason. Flood, meaning it's going to paint an entire area. So if you don't want to paint an entire area, you don't want to use a floodlight. So little by little, I start learning, like what you said, low voltage, short throw. If you just want to accent something and just have it blast the short area, I'm like, so a lot of that stuff I'm just now kind of starting to figure out, but I still got a ways to go. It's funny, you can never have enough lighting.
Oh no, it's amazing. At the end of the season when I tear everything down and I see the totes that I have of all the cables and whatnot, and I'm very OCD, so I have to put everything away very particular, and it's just wild. Also, because I don't want to be beating myself up the following year trying to unscramble everything. So I'm like, I'm doing this for future you, so you're not mad trying to unscramble everything. But yeah, just it feels like miles of extension cords, and oh my goodness, it just goes on and on and on.
No doubt.
Goes into it too, but it's funny. It's funny's not the word to use, but it's fun to look at the evolution of from when you first start, a home hunt, and your lighting and how you progress each year, and the little things you learn, little tips, little tricks, and just the difference that it makes in the long run.
What were some of the most influential things from haunts you've been to movies that you've seen that have impacted what you are doing now? Like, what are some things you can think of that were like, hey, this was a huge part of inspiration for me? We discussed HHN, but I'm sure there's a lot more to unpack there. So what were some of those pieces that you think were, influential in what Crest Cemetery is now?
So obviously I love decorating, love doing the Halloween thing. when it comes to like movies and going to other actual haunts, like the inspiration that I take from them, it's just like, okay, this is mad cool. What can I do to create this on a smaller scale at my
Yeah.
house, where I could kind of recreate the same thing because it's something that I'm inspired by simply. And most times it's seeing cemeteries and haunts. Some like I love when a haunt will do like you're in an actual building, but you'll go outside for a real cemetery scene. Like it's just such a different dynamic. It's like, oh my God, really outside. I'm not inside anymore.
Yeah.
And it just, I think when it comes to movies, for me, what I take away from movies are like the musical scores and aspects and sounds
Yes.
that I like to try and apply into my stuff. But literally it's just, I'm just always inspired by seeing other people, not even just parks and movies, but like other home haunters that I just randomly come across your channel. Like just in this past year alone, I've seen so many cool people do some really awesome things. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is now an inspiration to me to try and be like, oh, I'd love to kind of take this and, see what we can do with that kind of deal.
Oh yeah.
It's just always, like kind of just downloading different things in your head, saving photos on the computer, favoriting videos to go back to. And then when you sit down to draw, like I love to draw out things. Personally, I got my little Halloween binder. It's like taking notes, sketching out like different ideas, things of that nature. Really, it's just the inspiration comes from just so many different areas. It's difficult for me to pinpoint.
I could definitely see that. And I think that I love asking that question because I think there's so much in the gray area for haunters that I don't even think we even know sometimes where it comes from. There's been, and I don't know if this has happened to you, but sometimes you're doing something and it takes a while to connect the dots where you're like, wait a minute, that like for instance, for me, I'm a huge fan of James Wan. Now, yes, has he laid some eggs as the director? Yes, but like The Conjuring, Insidious, these movies, like the way he builds anticipation and the way he, just builds tension, period. I've always like, I want to do that in my haunt. And I caught myself trying to build my trails like that, like the line of sight and what's somebody thinking if they make this hard left turn and they can't see. Like and I realized a lot of that, and I didn't realize it right off the bat, but I realized I was sitting there watching The Conjuring and the way he did his camera work, and I'm sitting here going, that's where it came from.
Yeah.
So it takes a while, I think, because there's so much in the gray area affecting what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Unconsciously, we're just adding a lot of stuff. So that's why I love to ask that question, just to see, how in touch people are with that. And I think it takes a while to unpack it. You start seeing things that, you don't even know. You could have gone to a haunt like 10 years ago, and there's something just sitting there in the ether, just rolling around, So, but yeah, that's awesome, dude. I identify with what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like you said, like with haunters that we don't know sometimes if we're subconsciously thinking these things. It's wild, how our minds operate. It's very unique. That's for sure. And other haunters get it, but other people are just like, what? Like it's hard to put into words. So I started decorating as far back as I can remember in the early 90s. I had been like 6, 7 years old. I remember going into our garage, finding old planks of wood that looked like a tombstone. I think it was just like a rectangle even. Went in the house, grabbed a marker, wrote RIP on there, grabbed some winter gloves, some sticks, shoved those sticks in the ground, put the gloves on there, like blue winter gloves. And when my dad got home, I was like, hey, look what I did in the front yard. And he was cool with it. And I think like from that moment on, we started to buy decorations here and there. And then it grew and evolved, moved into a new house. And we remodeled some doors in the house. So he cut out tombstones from the doors, painted them white. Oh, wow. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, we'll make some tombstones out of these old doors. I'm like, sweet. So painted them white. He did his fancy lettering, and it started to grow. And I sent you those some of those photos. Yep. Like the little McDonald's pails that outlined the yard. Those the Happy Meal buckets from back in the 90s I had. Some of the photos are the ones that where we really started to grow into something. And every year it became more extravagant and bigger, and we created like a walkthrough on our front yard. I would literally lay out, I'd go buy bags of mulch and lay out mulch like on the path to the porch. Like I had been at that point really grown into it in my teens, but I'm like already trying to be as immersive as possible. And it would make sense because I started volunteering at the haunted house back then. So that's when things really started to pick up. And as the years went on, that pretty much grew to a point where we couldn't grow any bigger. And then as an adult, bought our first house, started to bring everything over here and rebuild. And at that point with the haunted house, I was more than just a volunteer. I was building, doing scenic things, lobby actor, was so involved in it all. I was like, I'm going to start to really step up my game on what I'm doing. Tips and tricks that I learned there to bring to my front yard. And it was probably in the I'd say maybe 2012, 13 is when I just came up with the name Crest Cemetery. I liked it. It set well with me. Created a little backstory behind it, that it was a cemetery that was located in Crest Hollow. People started going missing. There were questionable burial practices, and nobody could figure out what it was. That kind of grew on the lore of what Crest was, and not many people know that. And actually, that's awesome. The first time I've ever told somebody aloud. It's on my Facebook page, but you would never see it because you got to go digging for it. But I had this idea of this backstory behind it all, and it's just kind of every year it's grown and grown and grown more and more and more. And I've kind of maxed out, like I said, my space out there. It's well, what do you do next?
It's funny you mentioned. I wanted to give people a peek into the mind of a haunter, and I have to ask this question. You talked about home hunting. You were looking for a home. Now, how much influence did your vision for home hunting play in you picking a house out?
It definitely played a little bit. Okay, but there were more aspects about the home that sold me on this is the one. Okay. When I started to rebuild here, it was very tiny. It was in our little garden. And then as years went on, it just expanded.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm not going to lie, because selfishly, I see places now and I'm like, if we move, I'm like, it's got to have good bones. It's got to have good bones.
Oh yeah, for sure. Or a 2-car garage,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, literally that's it wasn't, the idea was there, but it wasn't much. But as we were settled in here, then it just exploded.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, believe it or not, one of the things I love that you do, and it's one of those things is, I don't think it's a little big thing. I think it's a big thing. I love, and I when I see people that have big windows, I'm automatically jealous, because we've got in the front of our house, all of our windows are in the back of the house where it doesn't matter. So in the front of our house, we got these small bedroom windows that are upstairs. So I have 2 windows. I don't have one of those big bay windows. And because I do window projections, I'm always like, dang, I wish I had more windows.
Yeah.
But you do some awesome projections. Even how you integrate them into the haunt itself is not all window projections. Some of them I've seen you built, a setup and a scenario for that. But I love that. It just gives you a whole new level of depth, which is really cool.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I've done the projection in our front window before, where I just have the spirits floating up. And so we have 2 cats and 2 dogs. So every night when I would set that up inside, I built this own little, I took a TV tray, I had the DVD player, the projector set up, and set that up every night. And having the animals around, not to mess with anything, is always a challenge too.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say knocking it over.
Yeah, don't mess with the cats, especially trying to mess with stuff. Luckily, they never did, but that thought's always in the back of your mind that they're gonna mess with it. So this year, I didn't do as much with the window projection. I just did the projection effect I had out in the yard. But I love doing window projections too. It just brings a whole nother. It's just a layer in the background of an additional element of that immersiveness.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, are you using the chiffon or the Hallusion material when you're doing that in the yard and things of that nature?
So in the yard, whatever the material is from Atmosphere, I was gifted for my birthday last year. It was one of the blow up fixtures and the
Yes.
shroud that goes over it. Whatever that is, that's what I use to project to do my yard projection effect. But in the
Okay.
house, I simply used a white bed sheet. It worked out very
Oh yeah.
well.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like the window, what we've used for windows is my favorite is at first I thought it was a clear shower curtains, but I quickly learned it's the frosted shower curtains that tend to work the best. Especially if you can keep them from getting wrinkled and stuff. So we've been using those for the most part, but I've been wanting to toy around more with doing, even though it doesn't come out super clean, I mess with a few different materials, doing the yard projections. We were using, at first I got the Hallusion material from Atmos, but I quickly learned, I'm like, this is just chiffon. So I went and started going to Joann's or even Amazon. I bought like yards of the chiffon. So that way we can use it. But you always can see the outline, and it's kind of tricky. The one thing I struggle with, you may have a fix for this, but one thing I hate is that, especially when you got a high lumen projector, you can see that light bleeding out. And I haven't figured out how to remedy that. And I hate it, but it happens.
Are you talking about like if this is your window, your projector's back here, and then you're seeing the light?
Well, so like for instance, one thing we did is at one point, and we did this a while back in our garage. We had the garage door open, and I took that chiffon and I kind of pulled it down from the top of the garage frame down to the bottom, stretch it out as much as I could, and we projected into that. So it was just free floating material. And because that material is chiffon, the gray chiffon kind of almost is invisible at dark. It's kind of invisible almost in the dark. We figured, okay, we'll project onto this and it'll look like it's just floating in the air. Yeah. But the problem was that light from the projector would bleed off into it. And I haven't found a way if I have to set it at an angle or whatever, but I've heard all kind of weird remedies. I've even heard of people using mirrors to cut it down, but I still haven't figured out how to stop the bleed through with the light when I'm doing a rear projection that's just out, in the open.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, the first thing that I think would be the angle for sure, but you'd have to really mess around with it to get the right spot and whatnot.
Gotcha.
Want it to be.
Well, if anybody has a hot fix for that, throw it in the comments, let us know, So, with that being said, as far as, this is kind of a redundant question. We kind of answered it, but I'll just go ahead and go back into it. How many home hunts do you say you get to throughout the season, or if any, if you're able to? I know how hard it is.
Man, locally, I'd say probably maybe a dozen or so get to check out. A lot of the ones up here near me are mostly displays.
Okay.
Nothing crazy like a full-on walkthrough. There may be a couple, but the timing, they'll do it like one weekend in the month of October. And if I'm not working or if I'm not here at the house running things, it's hard to get to.
Right.
But I'd say I try to get out at least once a year, and we'll drive around to see about 12 houses or so, things like that. And I think I may even mention to you another one. There's a guy that came to my house that I met. His name is Aaron. He said, "Wow, I really like what you're doing here. Would you ever be interested in maybe helping me do stuff in my house?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, brother."
Yeah.
So over the winter, which would be now not this past winter, but the one before, we linked up. He had this elaborate idea, and I helped him create this giant insane asylum in front of his garage.
So cool. That is so cool.
Enormous. And basically, I've been showing him the things I'm doing, the tips and tricks to achieve what I do. Even though I only do a cemetery theme, and God bless the people that change their themes every year. Oh my God. Yeah. It blows my mind. I'm like, I love my cemeteries, my graveyards, I'm good at it. I love it. That's my thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything else because I put too much money into that other stuff. But it was a lot of fun to do something different, in that regard. And he was absolutely enamored with how that thing turned out, and he's got other plans that he wants to link up to do this year too. So I'm excited to work with him.
That is super. When you told me about that, it just reaffirmed what I love about this industry is just the camaraderie. It's so like I noticed that when we're touring the houses in Chicago. I'm talking to this one guy and he's like, "Dude, my foggers aren't working, man. I can't get them going." He's panicking, you know what I mean? And it was neat because he got on a phone with another guy from CHB and he's like, "I'll be over in 5 minutes. Give me a sec." And he got over there and he's like, let's get these foggers going. And I'm like, I love that. I love the camaraderie in this industry, and the fact that you can knowledge share with somebody like that. I know that made his day after seeing what you did, knowing that he's able to, create something with you. I know was pretty damn special.
Yeah,
so
he caught the bug hardcore now too. He's all about it. It's awesome. I love seeing his excitement when he talks about his plans and his ideas. I'm like, we can do it, dude. Let's go.
That's
we're
awesome.
limited to our imaginations here. So let's do this. And his place is called Forest Spirits Asylum. If anybody wants to know on the Instagram.
All right.
But so you can see what we built. It's pretty crazy.
I'm gonna have to have you send me some of these fonts you mentioned, and I don't want to forget about them, and I know I will. Some of the ones you mentioned, at some point, message me those, so I want to look them up. You know what I mean? So I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do for the show in 2026. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I'll definitely send you some stuff for sure.
Awesome. All right. So you answered one of the questions. One of the questions I had was, are you featured on Fright Maps? We were going to go ahead and plug this. I had a long conversation with Mike at one point. We were talking, and I told him, I said, I love what you're doing for the home haunting industry. I think it's awesome because I still feel like, and you can kind of let me know if you kind of feel the same, but I feel like home haunting still isn't tapped. I think like when it comes to spooky season, people are looking for pro haunts to go to, and they're looking for the big names. Obviously they want to go to HHN, they want to go to Cedar Point, or they want to go to, Hell's Gate or the big operations. But I think a lot of people just don't realize that they have an app where all they got to do is pull it up and they can find, especially if you have a family. That's one thing I love is that, hey, like we don't charge anything, but we do work with a charity, and the most we're going to charge people is, a can of beans, which I think is doable, And so I'm like, man, that's something that you can take your whole family to, and you can have a great experience, and it's not going to cost you, an arm and a leg to be able to do that. When you got a family of 5, obviously everything changes, from a logistics standpoint. So I feel like there's still some notoriety that can be accomplished with home haunting and people understanding that, hey, this is free entertainment, guys. And you can get out and you can hit like 4 or 5 of these because you're not going to be anywhere more than 15 minutes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely. Yeah. Fright Maps is like just an unbelievable thing that we all became blessed with. I love that app. It's so awesome. When I discovered it, I'm like, I'm getting on this thing now, or let's see what else we can see. And to your point too, I have a buddy that I worked with like many, many years ago. And just kind of in the last couple of years got reacquainted with him because he's seen our house on Fright Maps. And I like to hang out outside when people come up and just chat with people and watch their reactions and whatnot. And, came to our house and I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen him forever. And he has his young ones now. And he's been coming for like the past 3 years. They make a night out of it. They drive around, always manages to come out and, hit us up and see us. But yeah, like, it's really smart. Drive around.
That's so cool.
Come up in the car. Let's go. Let's go see some cool houses. And they make a whole night out of it. So it's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. And it's kind of funny because I was talking to, I forgot who I was talking to. A friend of mine, anyway. We were talking about the Cal Haunt system. I don't know if you're familiar with some of the California home haunters, but California is such a different ecosystem than what you see in most states. Like there are some pro haunts in California, but they're kind of like they're an afterthought. Everybody knows who Rotten Apple is and Corona Haunt. These are all home haunts. And these are the things that people go to in home haunting. See, Cal Haunts a long time ago, before they even started doing that, they had a Cal Haunts map, and people would get on that map and they would be like, all right, we're going to make a day of it. We're going to go hit all these places. And some of that, getting around in Los Angeles isn't easy. You could be talking about 5 hours worth of driving, but people would make a night of that. Like, we're going to try to get at least 6 of these in, and you may be, spanning, pretty good treks, but I love to see that that's happening more. Because like I said, I feel like, especially with our economy going the way it's going, people are going to be looking for some alternatives. And I think that's where home haunting, I think, really shines, is they can provide a very good entertainment source. And not to mention, like I said, it's that magic, and your whole family can get out and see this thing. And I loved it. You said that your friend came through and he had his kids, because that's generational. You know, at some point you're going to feel real old when one of those kids shows up with a kid, and you're going to be like, wait, what?
Right. Yeah. No, it's awesome. It's something really special. I think that doing like what we do and like what this whole, the idea of Halloween is about, like it transcends and, making those memories for the kids.
Yep.
I think another thing that probably triggered me when I was younger was driving around. I remember specifically some houses in the area I live now when I was growing up that used to go buck wild with Halloween. And I'll still drive by one of those houses and be like, that was the house that was like, oh, yeah, we had to go see it. And like, I just turned 40. So, I mean, this was back when I was like 6, 7 years old, and like those things stick with you. So
yes, they do. Yes, they do. They're never going to forget it. They're going to grow up. And like I said, it's probably going to come full circle at one point. You're going to run into some adult coming through a kid, and they're going to be like, yeah, I used to come here when I was a kid. And you're like, holy smokes.
Right. No, for sure. I feel like I can't say I had the specific experience even yet, but I see it, like just seeing like kids come up to our house and see this. And like, I remember being that age, seeing something like this and what it did for me, it just, it inspires somebody out there artistically, creatively, to get into this, because it's truly unlike anything else. No offense to Christmas, but
that's awesome.
We got our own Halloween thing that everybody, really loves. So.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. It's funny you mentioned that too. Soundscaping is huge. And I heard something. I was as I looked through your videos and stuff, I heard something, and I was like, did I just hear Daniel Garavini scores playing in your background?
It's possible. I'm not sure familiar with who that composer is.
Okay.
It could have been something I came across and was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm going for. Love it.
Yeah. Yes. It's kind of funny when I saw that, because I love why can I think of their name right now? Like just about every haunt uses their soundtracks. Why can I not think of the name?
Midnight Syndicate?
Midnight, is it Midnight Mayhem or no?
Midnight Syndicate.
Midnight Syndicate, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I love Midnight Syndicate, and it's cool. It's great 2-line stuff, but I love, like, put it this way, like when I went to see the movie Insidious, the score was so integral in what you were experiencing in the theater that I was like, I want that feeling. I want people to have that same kind of tension. You hear all these little weird, string plucks and just everything just kind of sounding frantic, nails on the chalkboard type stuff. But I was listening and I heard Daniel Garavini. I don't know if it was Faceless Beast, but he's got a lot of big scores that really kind of are like atmospheric sound, like, they're scores, and I love that because they build so much tension, and it's that other element of dimension that you need. So, but I heard that playing in the background, and I was like, that's Garavini, dude. I love this stuff. So if you ever look him up, you're probably gonna find a lot more scores that you like. He's got some really cool stuff.
I will have to write that down.
Yeah. I'll send it to you. I'll send a link or something for you. But you could just sit there. I guarantee you'll just sit there and listen to some of his scores. And there's times when I'm listening to it and I build a scene just thinking about what I'm listening to. Like, oh yeah, okay, I can see this. So it's cool. It's cool. I love that.
A random one I got to throw out there, and this is going to take me back to my haunt days, back when I volunteered. So the haunt I worked for is called the Haunted Catacombs.
Okay.
The thing about this haunt that was unlike anything that I'd ever seen then, and even now to this day, this wasn't just a haunted house. It was a legit maze.
Okay.
Like, the rooms were kind of like, this was well before escape rooms were a thing. But like you'd go in, there was, your typical mirror maze. There was a full-fledged, I don't know how they did it, but they had a whole house, and you got to choose your path. You can go upstairs to the attic. You can go outside to the garden. You can go to the dining room, or you can go into like a basement. And like all these paths led to another area. So it was like a choose your own adventure kind of thing. Well, One of the mazes they had is the best thing ever. It was called the Door Room. It was 4 pods of rooms, probably about 8 foot by 8 foot. And there were doors in each, like 2 doors per like wall panel, right? And all these pods were connected. In between each door, there were black hallways. There was one way in,
Oh wow.
one way out. And they played the Children of the Corn theme song in that room. And dude, I'm getting goosebumps just now about that. Children of the Corn theme is a theme
Yeah.
that I am enamored with. I love it. I don't know if you've ever
Yeah.
heard it, but more specifically, it's like the remastered version. It's not from the original movie. It's from the one they made in like 2000. But that song
Okay.
was on repeat in that room. And man, scaring in that room was the funnest thing because I knew those hallways at the back of my hand. And like, you're coming, like a guest coming into there, not knowing where the heck they're going. You'd scare people so many times. And that music's on, going just nonstop. And then if you messed with them for about 15, 20 minutes, you take them to the exit door and like, hey, all right, go on.
You're like, you've had enough.
Like, yeah. But yeah, Children of the Corn, I think, I don't know if it's underrated, but I love that score, like to the theme of that movie.
I'm gonna have to check that out because I don't think I've heard the score to the remake. You know, so you're saying that it wasn't the original score; it was on the one that was made after that.
It's very much the same song, but it's like updated to a degree.
Okay.
I will send you the link today.
Okay, please do.
Give it a listen, because especially if you do your corn area too.
Yes.
Better song to play in that little section. Then, oh man, I love it.
That's awesome. I gotta say, I'll look that up right if you send it to me because I was just saying that sounds like it needs to happen.
It's great.
Yeah. One of the things. What was that?
Oh, music, soundscape, critical stuff.
Oh yeah, it is. And one of my friends who helps out a lot of the pro haunts, he's matter of fact they've been kind of working on doing a line of products for home haunters, and he's trying to really help elevate and evolve that scene. And he's always talking to me about the fourth dimension because he does sense. He has this company called Vile Root, and dude, some of the sense this guy makes, it will automatically, you will throw up. I mean, like the first time I met him, he gave me one as a gift, and he goes, "Hey, you can have. I brought you a scent, and it was poop." And I'm like, I'm like, dude, are you my friend or are you not my friend?
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't have burning leaves or something?
Is this? Did you have them on a video previously where they had their
yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. TerrorWorks. Yep.
Look them up. Yep. TerrorWorks. After I seen that video you posted of them, like follow these guys. I'd really like to invest in some of their stuff. Really cool things.
Oh yeah. They've got, and I think some of their stuff that they have, because they're doing that show I was telling you about halfway to Halloween, they're going to be launching and kind of debuting quite a bit. They kind of just gave us a tease of some of the things they were working on, but they've got a pretty big line of things. And so now he's doing everything from costume to masks. He's done a few masks, but he's really focusing on the tech side, which is cool, which I love because I every time I see somebody, I'm really, really impressed because I suck when it comes to technology. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I see somebody with a peekaboo, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. You can tell me every day 10 ways. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, you're telling me to plug a wire where? What am I doing? So, and I love the concept of what they do, but I'm lost.
Yeah, that is definitely also something like I can do all the scenic stuff all day long, the painting, but when it comes to the electrical stuff, I'm very bare minimum. So like,
gotcha.
I don't know much about controllers. I'd love to learn it. It'd be awesome. But I'm right there in the same boat with you, man. So don't feel too bad.
Oh yeah, all right. I feel you because that's one of those things. I'm like, man, and I was trying to tell my buddy because he's really into servos and and adrenos and all this stuff, and he gets really technical. And I told him, I said, look, dude, I'm dyslexic, and my brain, the minute you start talking about this, my brain just retreats. But yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. What is this? I know you got some stories. I know you do, especially with the time in that you have. But what is some of the wildest things you have seen during the haunt season at your place as you're putting on these haunts? What are from the reactions of people to the kind of things what are some of the wildest things you've seen happen?
Nothing too. Things are pretty mellow at my house now because it's just a display that people come up to. However, back at my parents' house when we did our like kind of miniature walkthrough on the front yard, the best story is one year my dad borrowed a chainsaw from a buddy of his, yanked the chain off the sucker, right? Of course, safety first. And there's the first year we ever had a chainsaw. I'm like, well, I'm going to be the one running around with this thing. This is fun. He's done the chainsaw scares at the haunt, always fun. So no one expected this that Halloween. So I'm out there. I was kind of near the exit as people would be coming out, and I'd rip that thing. I'd chase them down the street or up the street, whatever direction they went into. The best story is I chased a group of girls, and I don't know how she didn't see it, but all of a sudden I'm chasing somebody, and this girl was wearing, I remember specifically, a bumblebee outfit. Literally ran right into a street pole, and I seen her shoes fly in the air, and I shot, killed it, put it down. Like, oh my gosh, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. Girl just went bam right into the wooden telephone pole.
Oh man!
So that forever will have been like the funniest thing, the wildest thing I'd ever seen happen.
Wow! That's where you want to go. Where'd that pole come from?
And I don't know who it was after, but it was probably because like trick or treating even around our neighborhood back then was like 3-4 hours long.
Right.
Back when I did it growing up, it was like way longer. It was like 5-6 hours. Not what it is today. But
yeah.
A police officer shows up to the house, and he comes up. He comes to where I am, Revenant. He's like, oh, this is really awesome what you're doing. This is really cool. I'm like, yeah, thanks. And he goes, well, I got some bad news. Somebody unfortunately called us, said that some dude's running around with a chainsaw chasing people. So he says, I'm gonna have to ask you to cut it down. I'm like, all right. It's like near the end of the night, so it wasn't that big of a bummer. Where like started right at the beginning of trick or treating, because for us back then, we just did the walkthrough on Halloween. Like people could come up and see the yard during the day and at night, but the physical walkthrough was just Halloween night. It was the one and done night. That was it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like I was like, I wonder, even though there's no chain on it, I still can't do it. I tried to, reason with this. No, I'm sorry. We had to. You got to stop that. I'm like, all right. So, but yeah,
gotta love it.
There's one hand, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if that girl today remembers that happening, but forever, shoes flying in the air, and like
if you ever run into her, just tell her, imagine how viral you would have been in this era of TikTok.
Yeah, that definitely. That is my best story I had to share with you for sure.
That's a great one. That's a great one. I mean, that definitely beats I peed my pants story, because that's the one you hear from just about everybody. I mean, which is
that's always funny for sure. But
oh yeah, absolutely. There's never a short. The worst story I heard was one of the guys, one of our friends that runs a pro haunt over here in Detroit. He told me that he had an actor who was in a clown, and he was doing this whole thing where he was like regurgitating and pulling guts out of stuff. And I guess he like really disturbed some guy, and the guy, I don't know if the guy had diarrhea, but he ends up like literally crapping himself right there. And Mike told me that the actor started throwing up in the room, like for real throwing up. And he fell on the ground. He's throwing up. This guy's pooping his pants. And I'm just like, holy crap, what a mess.
Yeah, man, was it an outdoor haunt or an indoor haunt? Do you know?
What happened now?
Was it an indoor place or like an outdoor scene, like in the woods?
It's outdoor, but where it happened was an indoor structure.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So it was bad. They had to shut down and get everything cleaned up, get a bio kit. It was bad. I mean, throw up and the other stuff everywhere.
Yeah. I'm not surprised though hearing a story like that.
Right.
It's still like, oh my gosh, I could not imagine having that.
Right. It's like not often that a haunter becomes the haunted.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Like I've always thought. So I have this like mannequin that I built, and I resembled it to be the nun from the Conjuring movies.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you. I always thought it would be so funny, randomly, take the costume off the mannequin, throw it on, and then stand in the yard. I guarantee I'd probably get someone to number 1 or number 2 their pants if I did that.
For sure.
It's just staring at me, and it's a thought I always had in mind. So something I could always do. And the thing is, no, I'm not going to tell no one that's happened. So
yep. And you know,
and you come to the house and look up.
I tell you what, here's a surefire way to do it. Keep the mannequin. Don't even change that. Just get another nun costume and have both of them there.
Yeah. Run around the corner, perch myself up in our tree out front.
Oh yeah,
the tree.
I'd pay to be a fly on the wall for that one.
Yeah, dude, it'd be pretty good.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to address the pink elephant in the room here. We can go ahead and get to that because, I think it's burning me too as well. So I definitely want to talk more about this, especially since you dropped it in my ear a while back. I'm going to let you handle the transition into this, though. What are some of the plans you have for this year for Oak Crest Cemetery? What are some exciting plans you have?
So every year, as most hunters know, home hunters know, like you're
trying to one up yourself the following year. What are you going to do? What are you going to build? How are you going to change it up to do something different to kind of outdo yourself the year before? And this year, I made the decision that I love doing my yard hunt. I love it. I love people viewing it. It's coming up, talking with people. It's awesome. But it's been burning deep inside of me for a long time that this is the year I'm going to do an actual walkthrough with everything I have.
Wow.
So the plan is to have it be somewhat on the driveway, somewhat through my garage, somewhat
okay.
A very tiny bit through the yard, not very long, but to take everything I've built, something
okay,
to immersively experience, like live, not just looking at. And I'm so sold on doing this. I'm like, I have to do it one day. I'm like, this year, I think of all years, if it's 2025, I feel like I started decorating in 95. It's kind of like my 30th year of decorating.
Wow.
Like, let's go big. Let's make it very special. I'm like, I have all the supplies to do it. I just have to repurpose it in a way where you're going to physically walk through. And for what I have in mind, I think I can really pull it off well. And I can't wait for this weather to break so I can get going on things outside. And get building because for what I have up here and what I have in mind of what I want to do, it can be something very special. Won't be giant, but I don't care about that. I just want to do something different, and I feel like this is the time. I got to do it. Got to do it while I'm still semi-young. I got the energy to do it. I got the plans. Let's make it happen. It's funny because even back in my mom and dad's growing up, there were 2 years where we had like really bad rain from hurricane seasons, like coming up through New York. And
right.
Like in a scrambled moment, there was one time we moved everything into our garage because the rain was so bad on Halloween. I'm like, it's just going to ruin everything. So I got to do like a miniature, like horseshoe loop through the garage. And that was really cool. But I was literally like, we tore everything down the night before Halloween. And I was up till like 4 or 5 in the morning building in the garage, setting it all up. And it worked out well for what it was. But I've never truly gotten to put all of my energy and effort into doing a real walkthrough.
Dude, that's going to be freaking epic. And I cannot wait to see. That's going to be epic. That's really cool. And I think it's kind of funny because a lot of people do displays, but I feel like your display already is kind of immersive, which is not easy to pull off. That's really not. I think sometimes displays can come off very museum-ish, like just stand on the street and just look. But there's so many layers and so much depth to what you're doing that it already has this immersion to it. So I can't imagine now that you're actually being, pushed further into it, which, that's going to be epic, dude. That's going to be epic.
So, I'm very undecided on how many nights I'll do. There's a lot of logistic things I still got to plan out, but I know for a fact that I want to do it. Got to do it, want to do it. It's going to happen. And, I'm just super excited. I'm kind of torn to agree on like, okay, do I want actors in it? Do I only want, just a few? Because I don't want to be too much over the top, not just to kind of fill things out, but just to kind of make it like, if anything, you're kind of going through like a small attraction just to kind of view it in a different way that no one's ever seen it before. So
that is so cool. That's so cool. It brings up another question I was going to ask you too. What is your schedule like? When do you actually start going live during the season? How does that normally play out for you?
Normally we'll start setting up the display in beginning of September and just after Labor Day, and I'll start to bring out the big set pieces and then slowly integrate the props, the lighting. Generally I have everything fired up and going by the end of September. Generally, I like to have it going by like the last weekend, whatever like the date falls, and then I'll run the whole month of October. Every single night the lights are on, like 6 to 10 on the weekends later. It's like Christmas for me. So like I'm gonna leave that that sucker on all night long lit up. And I'll shut the music off at a certain point in the night too, of course. But it takes me a couple weeks to set everything up to where I'm really happy with everything, where I've dialed in all the lighting, the sound, all the electrical that runs in with it. So yeah, that's kind of how I approach it. So with this year, with doing what I want to do, my thought is, well, I have plenty of time. I could start in August, building in the garage and then building outward from there, not knowing how weather's going to play out, of course. So I'm really excited and, antsy to see how this could turn out. So.
Well, dude, that's big news. And you guys, you heard it here, man. Crest is going into the walkthrough phase. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be really anxious to see that. It's kind of funny. I know we both were at Transworld, and it was a crazy show. It always is, and we ended up not being able to link up. But there was so much going on, and I don't know. I'm actually thinking about skipping next year because I don't want to be sick anymore. After this last bout, I was just like, this was not fun. It just beat me up. I think because what happens to me is when you go for all 4 days, you're exhausted, man. And I think I was just run down, and me personally, if I'm run down, my immune system is not working. If I'm tired and beat up and I haven't rested much, and I felt like I was just on a freaking rat wheel from the day we got there, it was just like going to dinner, going to this, and it's just like, and somebody's pulling you in a direction one way or the other. It's like your schedule is not your own. And that's what me I wasn't even doing classes. It was just from being on the floor to getting involved. Oh, we're going to dinner over here, or we're running to this, or we're going to this hunt real quick. And before you know it, I'm just like, holy crap. So I think I was exhausted for the drive back home. And the minute I came back home, I was just beat and I got sick. And the same thing happened last year. So, but I was just thinking about it. We didn't get to link up. But I definitely wanted to get some of your thoughts on, some of the stuff we saw this year. Like, what were some of your favorite vendors that you got a chance to see while you were out there?
So I am a big fan. I'd say I'll put them number one. Beastcraft for me is my favorite animation company. I have a couple of their pieces. It's actually an easy drive for me to get to Columbus if I wanted to buy something. So big fan of theirs. Love their work, what they do. Closed Casket Studios and their array of masks. Oh my gosh, talk about a motherload of awesome stuff. Wound up picking up a couple of their pieces. I'm excited to build some static props out of that stuff, and understand that's something you wanted to get into this year too, you were saying.
Yes.
I'd rather try and build and have 3 cool props than just spend all the money on one animation. That's kind of my point of view on it, get more bang for your buck almost. But it was just so cool. I thought those two were the highlights for me. It was just so much fun to get back to the show. I haven't been there since 2012. And it was just so great to be there again and to catch up with people I haven't seen in years. And it was awesome. So I'm still riding on that high. It was really great. I'm really glad I decided to go. It's kind of like a last minute decision. It's like him and Han. Do I go? Do I not?
I remember you were kind of on the fence about it.
Yeah. It was like, well, maybe if I don't do that, maybe I'll go to East Coast. I'm like, but I know St. Louis. I know the show. I know what comes with it. It's it's the one to experience, especially if you are looking to go further down the rabbit hole with haunts and stuff like that. So
all right, this is an important question I ask everybody. It's probably the most important question you'll answer here. So especially you being from Buffalo, you probably have some thoughts on this. So this very important question is Hawaiian pizza, stroke of genius or abomination?
I'm gonna go with I never had it, so I've never tried it. And Buffalo is very well known for our chicken wings. So the pizza goes hand in hand. There's so many great pizzerias around here. I know it's a thing. I've never had it, but I will say my first thought is an abomination.
Maybe I would like
I
it.
think that
I
is
don't
the
know.
most. If I was to run statistics, I think that's probably the highest response. That is the highest response.
Yeah. But I don't know. It doesn't. It's definitely not. It's at the bottom of the list of a pizza I would order for sure. Your traditional cheesy cup or your supreme pizza or like banana peppers, all that. That's great. I don't know. Yeah.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Very cool. All right. That's one. Everybody. That's a rite of passage. I have to ask that to everybody. It's just one of those things. And then there's another one. There's another rite of passage. And I always ask this, and it's funny because it's shocking the answers I get to this, especially from people who are in the industry. It's shocking, but I'm going to ask anyway. Give me your top 5 ATF all-time favorite horror movies.
All right. In any particular order? It's
In no particular order, however you want to roll it.
House of a Thousand Corpses.
Okay.
That one did something for me. Something about the characters in that movie, the sound, the story of it all, the house. And man, when Horror Nights did that house in Orlando in 2019, I think it was, blew my mind. I was like, I've been wanting them to do that one. They just nailed it. Something about, like I said, that one scene with the coffin dropping in the pit with the burying me in a nameless grave. Like, and that's so good. So good. And I know that
I'm gonna have to check that out because I've seen Devil's Rejects and I understand that they're connected. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, so I need to go watch it then.
Yeah. Rejects is before or after? I would say it was after. So, but yeah, it's wild. A lot of people, it may not be their favorite, but that's one for me for sure.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd call it a horror movie, but The Lost Boys. Love The Lost.
Yeah, it's classic. It's a classic.
Yeah. I would say I'll throw The Exorcist on there.
Okay.
The OG Exorcist.
Okay. Yep.
That's 3. Dang. Poltergeist. Oh my God. How could I forget about that?
Nice.
Super good. I know that I've seen 2 in its entirety, and I think there was a third one, but the first one, so good.
Yeah. So many iconic scenes from that. It was, especially when most of us saw that, we were little, and it was pretty potent.
Sure, very much so. Wasn't that house out there? Isn't that house out in California somewhere?
It may be. I didn't see. The only one I know about is the Winchester, which I got to get my California trip in because I definitely want to get up to a Winchester house. I don't know if you've ever watched Hollywood Haunters, but I think they exclusively work for the Winchester house, which they've now made a whole haunt production. But that is the property of the original Winchester family, which they say was cursed after they made these guns. So it's interesting. I would love to see it. It's a beautiful property too. On top of that, but and you could tour it during the daytime. But now they have a whole production, and Hollywood Haunters does majority of the fabrication for them for their production up there. So I'd love to get a chance to see that.
Oh yeah, and talking about an awesome channel to follow. They are very inspirational to seeing how they build things and what he does. Him and his wife do. Oh, so cool. I love watching their stuff. And they
no doubt.
A lot of stuff for that place too. I don't know if it's a haunt they do now or who knows what it is, but they build a lot for them, and it looks really good.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because from what I understand, I've talked to other YouTubers, and they said it is one of the most difficult places. Like they don't care if you have 60 million viewers; they don't want anybody filming at all. Like you just can't film. They won't allow it. They'll let you film the grounds and the midway, but the haunt they will not let you film. And like I said, they won't, and no one's had that privilege. I don't know how long that's going to go, but they've been doing this haunt now for probably, I'm going to say probably 4 years, going strong. And no one has gotten footage from the tour. And I'm not talking about just doing the regular, house walkthrough. I'm talking their haunted attraction, it's really a haunted attraction. So I thought that they would loosen up on that, but they're like, nope. And I don't know if it's because the house has so much lore to it that they don't want people. I don't know what it is, but they will not let anybody film.
Very
So
interesting.
yeah. So all I've seen is the Midway. That's about all I've ever seen. But it is a cool looking haunt, though. I will say that. Very cool looking. So, but okay. So Poltergeist going.
Yeah. What am I at? That's 4, right? Am I at 4?
Yep. You got 4. Yep.
Man, this is. I'm like visualizing my DVD collection of like what else. Um, I you know what I'm gonna say Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Okay. Oh yeah. I remember that one. I'm trying to remember what I think I was that in high school when that came out? I think so. Yeah, I remember that one. I remember that.
That one of the series, like Freddy's awesome, classic character. That story.
He had the most one-liners in that one, didn't he?
What's that?
Didn't he have like the most one-liners in that one?
Well, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised, but something about I'd say the third installment of the Nightmare on Elm Street. That one would be up there. So it'd be my 5: House of 1,000 Corpses, Exorcist, Poltergeist, Lost Boys, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors. Bam.
Love it. I love it. Very cool. Solid list. Absolutely solid list. And I'm going to have to go ahead and check out House of 1,000 Corpses. I've never gone and seen it, but I need to go and see it. And it was funny because one of our oldest kid is the one who talked to me. He told me, he said, "Dad, you've seen The Devil's Rejects. How have you not seen this?" And I was like, "Why?" He goes, "Well, the stories connect." And I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's the same characters." So I was like, "Okay, I guess I have to go back," because I really like The Devil's Rejects.
It might be like free on one of those like TV apps. Maybe I'll find it. Like Tubi.
Okay, I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
All right, homework assignment for me. I'm throwing that in there.
There you go.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. So, with that being said, any props that you've seen so far this year? I know we kind of had a quick conversation with some of the ones that Distortions dropped, but did you see any there that you thought like this has to come home with me?
I was so close to going for the Demon Legend that Distortion just came out with.
Yeah.
I mean, like the day that dropped online, I was like, oh my God, I think I have to buy this right away. But I pumped the brakes on it, even seeing it in person. I was like, oh my God, like I really, really want it. But I went an alternate route with what I bought, which I'm still happy with. But that one was really cool to see in person. Such an amazing piece.
So it's probably not gone for good, huh?
No, I wouldn't rule it out. I just buy it at Transworld. So,
gotcha.
But that was a good one. There were some other really cool animation. Oh, Dusk Productions. My gosh.
Man.
What amazing booth. What great pieces. And across the way from them was, I think it was Morbid Monstrosities.
Yes, both of them together.
That mausoleum.
Yes.
When I see the mausoleum, I wanted to pass out. I was like, this is the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen.
That was definitely my favorite part of the floor right there. That whole section.
And that was so good. I was taking so many photos of the walls of the little bricks. I'm like, I know, seeing what they're doing here, and I'm like, just thinking of other ways I can do things too. And man,
yeah. Very cool. Yeah, very cool. I loved it. I definitely loved it. I was, and it's kind of funny because I remember Dust the year before they had some cool stuff, but this year they hyperspace. It was like the evolution of where from 2024 to 2025 is crazy. Like you can look at it. Look at Dust if you get a chance to look at a video. Look at their booth last year to this year. It is just like, okay, I would love to pick their brains and go, what happened, dude? You guys hit full throttle. And you were like pedal all the way down to the floor this year. Like, what happened?
They didn't look back. No. So I'm excited to see what they do in the future too.
Yeah, no doubt. They've definitely put it out there. I was thinking about it too. Like, and this is the one thing I'm gonna put in you that you probably you have to think about. What do you think your neighborhood's reaction once you do this walkthrough? Do you think they're gonna let you off the hook?
I don't know. I think one thing about the whole idea of doing it that I've always thought is like, okay, what will the reaction be? Will, the people that come to see the house that normally expects the display, not having the display there, and if I wouldn't be doing it every single night, it'd be mostly weekends.
Right.
I don't know what to expect out of it, but like I'm intrigued enough to want to try it once.
Oh yeah.
To a degree, and a lot of my neighborhood, like a lot of the neighbors, people in the neighborhood, like really dig what I do.
out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So it's one of those, it's like if you know a guy who's a great chef and he goes, I made something new, you don't even ask any questions. You're like, okay, let me hit me with it. And I think the same for you. I think people aren't going to ask too many questions. They're going to be like, all right, what are we doing? So I think they're going to I think it's going to blow their minds.
Yeah, very much so. So I think they'll be cool with it, but we'll see. It's a test. It's an experiment, so to speak. So we'll see what comes of it.
Oh, that's awesome! I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to share it with you and with others. I'm just really excited to document the journey through it too. Is what I'd like to do, because like with my YouTube channel, like I'm not very savvy with editing videos and things like that. It's very bare minimum stuff, but I'd like to be able to share that more. Like some of the videos I have of the things I built are mostly just like slideshows, so to speak, like my steps and processes. But I'd like to do actual videos about what I'm doing, just to really share my knowledge with people of, hey, this is how I'm doing this kind of deals.
Yep.
Yeah,
and I know that will go far because people would love that. I mean, because of the level of what you're doing, if people get some insider view of that, I know that'll be a really hot ticket. That's awesome. Yeah, like I said, I think that's going to be fun. That's going to be a lot of fun, and I think the creating of it is fun. As far as what you're doing and putting that together, it's a whole different way to do things. But I think you've already got the tools to do it. It's not going to be very hard to transition into that at all.
Appreciate to hear that. There'll be good words of encouragement when I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? What's going to happen? Remember, Dave said it. Dave said
it. Fair enough. Well, let's give people some background on how they can get more information and follow you at Oak Crest Cemetery or Theme Park Misfits. If you want to drop your socials, go ahead and plug where people can find you and get in touch with you.
Sure. So I'm on Facebook, Oak Crest Cemetery. I don't know if I put Home Haunt after that. If you search Oak Crest Cemetery, I think you're pretty much going to see it. It'll pop up. We're based out of Buffalo, New York. So I do on Facebook, I share a lot of updates throughout the year of things I'm building, just things to keep people engaged. I also have Instagram. I'm on there too, post a lot of my photos and little reels of the videos I made of things like that. So you can find me on Instagram. And then my YouTube page is just a hybrid of Halloween stuff and my love for theme parks. Places that I go, rides I've rode, sharing that stuff with people, because a lot of people, I feel like if you love Halloween, you probably like theme parks. So it kind of goes hand in hand. It's just kind of my blend of both. So I'm on YouTube. Give me a follow, give me a sub. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram. If you ever want to message me, have any questions, I'm more than happy. I'm very responsive on the platforms, to share or just chat. Those are where you can connect with me. And even on my Facebook, one thing I'm kind of in the process of putting together is my own little website to where I could offer, if somebody was interested in me building things for them, it's on my Facebook. It's just a little GoDaddy website. It's nothing big right now, but I call it Necropolis Creations. And
awesome.
I have a house, like a little site I put together for things. If someone's really interested, I could do something for you for your house or more than your house. If you like what I do, get in touch with me.
And you will. I promise you. Check out what he does. That I think there's a great ecosystem for that, because you do some amazing work. So yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. Anything's coming up you want to plug, or anything you want to shout out?
I don't have a whole lot.
I know I'll be following East Coast coming up soon, via the YouTube. So I'm excited to see what's going on out there. Not too much other than, I'm sure a lot of people will be starting their build season soon for what they're doing as the weather's breaking, especially out here on the East Coast. So good luck to everybody out there starting those projects you want to start. Good luck. And, Halloween's going to be here before we know it. I hate to say it.
It will. Boy, and I can feel the stress behind that statement. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, next time we're up in Niagara, I may have to hit you up and see if you want to go through one of those cheesy boardwalk haunts with us.
Oh, yeah. No,
absolutely. Yeah, you reach out to me next time you're traveling through town. Absolutely. Okay. And anytime
sounds good.
Link up, do a video with yourself or other people, I'm game. So
Okay. All right. There it is. It's on. It's on. Because I know we love going to Niagara, and that'd be great because we stayed on the Buffalo side last time. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Sure.
Very cool. Well, Dan, thanks so much for being with us here and giving us a chance to see inside what you're doing and some of the things that are happening with Oak Crest Cemetery. We look forward to seeing all of the cool stuff that's coming down. So guys, go check him out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You've seen all of his different options for social media. Make sure you follow, support, and check out what he is doing. Thanks so much for joining us today, Dan. It was a pleasure rapping with you. I could talk shop with you all day.
We can talk all day for sure. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it so much. Been so excited leading up to today. I'm glad we got to finally make it happen.
Absolutely. Won't be the last time. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2026, maybe we host, maybe instead of having you on, we do the home hunt show together.
Oh yeah, we possibly could.
Okay. All right, man. Well, hey, dude, thanks so much, man. I appreciate you. This was awesome.